Perfect. So you can see that because these two persons are a bit closer to each other, that's why the code is showing them in the red color. Hello and welcome to Rocket Systems YouTube channel. In our previous videos, we have been detecting persons and tracking them. In the previous video, we also draw the tracking lines of the person from where it started in the frame and where the person moved out of the frame. Now in this video, what we are going to do is that because we are already detecting and tracking the persons, we are going to see whether the coordinates of one person comes into close proximity of any other person in order to monitor the social distancing. So before we start, let me just quickly show you the video we are going to use. So this is the video we are going to use, and in this video you can see that these two persons are walking quite close to each other while this person is a bit far from this lady. But in the video, if I play this video, you will notice that at this particular point this person comes in a close proximity with this lady, which means that our code should be able to tell that these two persons are very close, thus violating the social distancing rules. And because these two persons are anyways very close, so they will also be marked as red. Now further in the video you will notice that then this person and these two person comes in close proximity, and this lady comes in close proximity with this person. So for these two scenarios as well, our code should be able to tell whether they are whether they are following the social distancing rules or not. But later in the video then you will see that finally then this lady is very far from any other person, so it will all be green. So what we are going to do is that we will draw bounding boxes of each person's. We will draw it in a green color, and then when any two persons comes into close proximity, then we will change the color of that bounding box from green to red, indicating that there is a violation of social distancing. So now let's move to the coding part. Okay, coming back to our Visual Studio Code. So what I have done is that I have created a new file called socialdistancing.py, and most of the code I have copy pasted from our previous script, which was the tracking lines. So all of the code is as it is and there are no changes. There are two things which I have done till now. One is that I have imported math because we are going to use this in our script, and I have also imported these combinations from iter tools. So why we have done this is because what we are going to do in the code is that our logic will work in a way where we will keep saving the coordinates of each person's in the frame, and then we will make a combination of each person's, and then based on those combinations we will calculate how far one coordinate is from another coordinate, and then if it lies between a particular threshold then we will mark it as in the red, means that it's violating the social distancing rules. So we have to import these two modules, and then after that rest of the code remains same. Now in the videos you will have to change this to test video 2 because this is the video which I showed you in the previously in the initially in the video, and then later on everything remains as it is. And here once our tracker has given us the IDs and the bounding boxes inside the centroid dict, which we also initialized in our previous video. But in the previous video we were just using the centroid, but now we have also added the x1 y1 x2 y2, which means the full coordinates of that particular bounding box. So this is the change which I have done till now. Now let's modify this code. So what we will do is that once we have the centroid dict, it has all the information of a particular person. Now we are going to use another for loop, and we will create combinations, and then using those combinations we will get the distance between the bounding box, and then we'll further process it. So what we'll do is that, so let's create a list here to save the value. So I'll create a list with the red zone list, which means that any two persons which are closer, we will put the coordinates of those persons into this list, and then we will later display it in the red bounding box. Now let's take a for loop. Combinations, and here we will pass our centroid dict which has all the values. So centroid dict dot items, and then here we will write 2. Now inside this for loop we are going to calculate the dx and the dy. So dx, dy, and then once we have this, we will simply use the math dot square root to calculate the distance. So distance is equals to math dot square root. Here we will put dx into dx plus dy into dy. And if the distance is less than 75 pixels, now this value, I mean, if you're performing this in any other video, then you might have to adjust this value as per your use case, but the video which I'm using, it fits perfectly fine. So this is the pixel value. You can adjust it as per your choice. So if the distance of any two bounding box falls below 75 pixels, then we will simply add those two bounding boxes inside the red zone list. So what we will do, we will simply say if ID1, this ID1 is basically the ID which the tracker has assigned, not in red zone list dot append ID1, and then similarly if ID2 not in red zone list, then we will also append that. So let me just copy this ID2. Perfect. So once we have the red zone list, we just have to simply draw the CV2 rectangle. So what I'll do, for ID and box in centroid dict dot items, if ID in red zone list, if that ID is in the red zone list, then we simply have to draw the rectangle. So frame box 2, box 3, box 4 and box 5, and then we just have to pass the color and then the thickness. So if it is inside the red zone list, then we are probably displaying it in the red color, and if it is not inside the red zone list, so let me just quickly copy this, and else if it's not inside the red zone list, we will simply display the bounding box in the green color. So we will just have to change the color here. So I'll make this green. Okay, so everything looks perfectly fine. In order to summarize, so what we are doing is that in this centroid dictionary, we are appending the coordinates as well as the bounding box. Now here we are making the combinations of all the persons we have inside our dictionary. We are simply calculating the distance. If the distance is less than a particular threshold, we are putting them inside the red zone list. Now here, if they are inside the red zone list, we are simply displaying them in the red color. If they are not in the red zone list, we are displaying them in the green color. Now let's open up a terminal and quickly try to run this code to see if it's working fine or not. All Python 3 social distance.py. Perfect. So you can see that because these two persons are a bit closer to each other, that's why the code is showing them in the red color, and this person and this lady is a bit far, that's why the code is showing them in the green color. But you will notice that as soon as these two persons also comes into the close proximity, our code will start to change their color from green to red, indicating that they are violating the social distancing rules. And then as soon as this lady moves, I mean goes a bit far from this person, so you will notice that the color of this lady has changed from red to green. So looks like our code is working perfectly fine, and the logic is also working perfectly fine. So you can anyways download this code from the repository. Link is mentioned in the description, and I guess that's all for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel.